Okay, we're going to go ahead and get this ring ready for printing. The first thing we need to do is make sure everything's Boolean Union. So what I'm going to do right off the bat is do that, of course. So I'm going to hide my gemstones because we no longer need those. And then I'm going to go to Tools, Solids, Boolean Union. I'm going to select my green as my first surface, hit enter, and then I'm going to go to my purple there and hit enter as my second surface. And there we go. Everything should be Boolean Union. So let's see here. I have some more prongs out there, or what we just Boolean Union. So I'm going to take those prongs and delete them. Again, there we go. Okay, so take those prongs, delete, don't need them. There's my prongs on there. And next thing I'm going to do is hide green. Oh, can't turn off layers, so hide green. And then I'm just going to select everything and delete it because we don't need any of that. And we broke history, no big deal. Turn back on green. At this point, we need to check to make sure everything's watertight. So go over to your properties panel, close surface, so everything's good. Our weight, 5.12 penny weight, about 1/4 of an ounce. Looks okay. So from here, what we'll do is we'll go to manufacturing tools. We'll select. There's two really you absolutely have to have. One, the sprue base right here. So we'll select on that. We'll select our item to sprue, and we'll hit enter, and it'll automatically throw a sprue out there for you in a base for printing. Now there's a couple adjustments here that I usually always do. Test your printer out, see how they go. You should do all this work yourself before you send it out to a casting house if you don't do your own printing, because they will charge you to do this. So it's better that you just do it yourself if you can. So they give you several options down here on the command line to change however you would like. The first one is the top length. That's the length from how far it goes across. That's probably fine, but let's just go ahead and change it a little bit for sake of demonstration. And I probably would go ahead and change this a little bit. So I click on it and then I type I want it to 10, so it'll shrink it down a little bit. The next one is top width. That's how far it goes across the shank. That's probably okay, but let's drop it down. So I click on a top width and I'll just put it at a 1.9. A little less cleanup. And then the next thing I do right off the bat is I skip the bottom width and bottom length to begin with, and I just go to height. The reason I do that is because I first print them in normal resin, non-castable resin, to take a look to see if everything's going to be okay, because it's a lot less expensive. Non-castable resin's about 20 bucks for $20 American dollars, and you can get hundreds of prints out of it usually, pretty much, or many prints. So it's a lot less expensive. Castable resin will cost you $160 for 500 milliliters, so you can see the difference. If there's a mistake, you make a mistake, you want to be able to tell what it is before you go and print it in castable resin and waste that resin. So maybe this rail's too thin, or maybe these prongs didn't come up for some reason, or maybe this bezel here, some of it didn't come up. So you can print it off in non-castable resin, and it'll give you a good idea of what it's going to look like. It'll show you exactly how it's going to print in the more expensive castable resin, so it'll save you some time and money. And if you need to make adjustments, if you don't have a printer, I recommend going out and buying one. You can buy some really cheap printers that'll let you take a look at your prints, and they work pretty good. You can buy a Anycubic Mars, I think, for a couple $100. So it's not that bad of a thing to be able to print your own and take a look at them before you send them out to the casting house, or if you do your own printing. And I casted all kind of stuff with those types of things, those type of printers, and they've come out fine. So let's take a look. The height I want to change because I don't want to have to cut this off and then add another sprue to it. I just want to take this from my castable resin right into casting. So the length I want a little longer because when I cut it off, I want a little bit more investment between my item and my where the metal's coming in at. So I usually take that up to a 10 length, 10 millimeter length. And then at the bottom, this is probably not, I mean, it's probably okay for some trees, but I usually just make it more of a rounded. So I usually change it to a 5 bottom and a 5 length. So now I have a round. So when when the metal's shot through there, it has a nice larger opening. Then it goes in and comes up around your ring. And then the base, you can change it to many different shapes, a rectangle. And what I do with the base depends on my model. This one I'll probably want to put, if I look from the front view, I can see that this comes down just a little bit. You have to remember when it's printing, it starts here and it starts building this way, right? So when it gets up to this point here is just a little bit lower than this point here. So this is going to print and then it's going to print straight across. So this whole piece here is going to be missing. So I'll need to add a support there, and I'll show you how to do that. But yeah, if you have prongs or stones coming down to here and you got prongs coming out, you know, those prongs will need to be supported in order to print okay, because it'll print here, it won't, there's nothing there for it to support. And I'll show you what I mean in a second here. But let's go back to perspective. So I usually make this a little longer so when I tree it up I've got a good investment in between there. It's just personal preference, I guess. You can try out many different things, see what works for you. And then my base here, my bottom length, I'm going to take that out a little bit. Let's put it at a 7. Oh wait a minute, I'm in the wrong. Change that back to a 5 and hit enter. Oh, I wanted to change it. Well, it doesn't matter. I can take it from here, and I'm just going to drag it out a little bit. And the reason being is because I need a support coming up to here on both sides. It doesn't probably need to be that long. Yeah. So I drag it out because if you put a support out and it just comes right down into the build plate, or it's not going to give a good support. You want it attached to your base. So then I accept that. You'll see what I'm talking about in a second. And I'm just going to go ahead and hit that and get rid of this one here. So there we go. Okay. And the next thing you want to do is first go to your front view and then put it on wire mode. Just make sure that's going in there. And this is touching, going in there. I don't know what this is. Let's find out. Let's get rid of it. You don't have to do, most of the time you don't have to do any of that stuff, but you do want to make sure that everything's intersection because you'll Boolean Union all this later. The next thing you want to do after you get your sprue on your base for the build is go to finger hole support. Now many rings or items you don't really need to do this. This particular one you probably don't need to, but I always do it for casting purposes because when it comes in I want that metal going up this way and I want it going up to the top as quick as possible. So I usually put a support on most of my items through the center. So we'll click on that and there's the metal support. You can take it to any height. You don't want to take it way up, maybe halfway or a little lower. depending on the item, but I'll just take it up to around there. And then you have these little supports that'll come up. The first thing you need to do is click off your snaps, because sometimes they'll snap way up at the top, and you really don't need that. You just want it going to the surface at the bottom. But here you have a couple options. You can mirror it X direction so that it goes on both sides, or you can mirror it on both Y and X, and it'll just put them up there. Depends on if your ring, if it's uniform or not, how you'll go attack that part. So let's just say I want a little extra support on right here on these, and then I want a little extra support right there. And that's probably all I'll do. And I hit enter. Enter. Okay. And then here, oh, wait a minute. Let's back out of that. I did something wrong. I want to adjust. I will show you the adjustments that you can do. So that would have been fine for me, but let's select our, go up a little about halfway or so, and then we want to add the supports at the top. I'm going to turn on my X and Y because it's all asymmetric, and I'm going to attach some right here, and I'm going to attach some right here. Okay, so those are what I want. And now what you notice, if I go to my ring, it puts them other, but if I take it away, they go away. So this is what you want. All right. And I want to adjust some of those. And it's not letting me do, there we go. Okay, hit enter. And now I can make some adjustments. Say it's a little wider ring and all these are kind of grouped up together and it's not really looking too hot. What you can do is you can click on these midpoints, and it selects all four of them that you put up there together, and you can round them out. Now of course you don't want to oh, and it hit enter again. Yeah, I love enter. And then you can move them in any direction that you think would be good. And let's see, let's take this one. Oh, enter, take this one. Kind of drag it out a little bit. You can adjust them however you want. Whatever's good for you. But it sometimes it'll matter, sometimes it won't. And then just hit enter. And then say you want the base here to be a little bit thicker. So you can make that a little bit bigger, smaller, depending. And then also at the top, you want a little bit wider opening. You can take those and make them bigger or smaller, however you see fit. It's all a test thing for every printer is different and how it works and how it prints, so you'll have to do a little testing. And then from here, that looks good to me. I'm going to hit enter. So there's all my supports for underneath, and they look all to be touching and going into my ring. Alright, now as I said earlier about this issue over here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the front menu, and you could use the curtain. Well, I'll show you. The curtain you can use. It'll put several up there at one time. It just really depends, but I probably wouldn't use it in this case. I'd probably draw my own. I need it like right in there, and then I need to take it, go to my front view, and then just take it straight down, and it will put several up there. And hit enter. It'll put several up there. Yeah, if you want to print it like that, that's probably fine. But I'm just concerned about this here. So actually what I can do is I can select these, ungroup them, and then just select the ones like these down here are waste. You don't need them. All of these you don't need. Select what you don't need, delete it, and you can just keep that one. Or if you want to, you can draw your own support. So I'll just show you how to do that real quick. Very easy. So I'll go to my curve menu, and then I'll just go to, where's it at? Polyline, and then I'll change this to yellow for viewing. And I want it attached like right in there, and then I'm just going to drag it out and then hold down shift and drag it down into my base and hit enter. And then from here what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that and go to solids, and I'm going to pipe it. Okay, now I can make some adjustments here. As you can see, it's on 0. I actually want that a little smaller. I don't need that big of a support up there. So over here I'm just going to type in a 0.2, and it'll make it a little smaller. That's plenty big. You can adjust it. You can adjust the bottom rate. You want a little thicker going up for some reason or whatever. It's up to you. And I'm going to hit enter. Now, as you can probably will find out, if I go to my right view, it's on. Yeah, it's good. So go to my perspective, and then I'm just going to mirror that over to the other side. F4. Hold down shift. Well, let's hold down shift, hit enter. So check it out, make sure they're touching. They are. Looks good. So we'll just take that, and we'll take this, and we'll change it to red just so we know. We'll take this, and we'll take this, and change it to red. All right, there we go. So there's our support system for printing. Again, you don't really need the midsection on a lot of rings. I just do it because, and then I leave it there for casting too. Just cut it off, snap those off. You don't need them for casting. And that's what I use. So now you need to Boolean Union all this stuff together. So let's go to, well, we're already there, solids menu, Boolean Union. We'll take this as our first surface and our ring as our second surface, and hit enter. I tried doing them all at once, and it really sometimes, many times, doesn't work. So I just select them separately. So real quick, I'll recall the command, right click, click my first surface, click my second surface, hit enter, enter, okay, and then again I'll take this one here, and right click, select my second surface, enter, enter, take this, right click, recall the command, second surface, enter, enter, and poof, something jacked up there. So that probably means that they're not touching or something. So let's go back. Sometimes you get those errors. Let's go to our wireframe. It could probably, kind of looks like it's, maybe that's the issue. So basically all you have to do is scale it a little bit so that it goes down in, hit enter, go back, let's try it again. Boolean Union, abort that command. First surface, enter, second surface, enter, there we go. Sometimes you get those little issues. So what do we got here? So enter. So we got all this, and then up here, let's just take these two and, well, first right click, first surface, enter, second surface, enter, enter, and that's good, enter. We'll do the same thing over here, right click, take our first surface, enter, second surface, enter, enter, and we'll try these two at one time. I don't know that they'll work. A lot of times they don't. So right click, select our first surfaces, enter, second surface, enter. Boolean Union didn't work. I don't know why it doesn't, but sometimes it doesn't. So let's go ahead and accept that, and we'll back out. Now if I take a right click, first surface, enter, second surface, enter, it works. Don't ask me, no clue. Same thing with this one, first surface, enter, second surface, enter, enter, There we go. So just these two over here. Again, first surface, enter, second surface, enter. And one more time. First surface, enter, second surface, enter, enter. Now you could probably, and I'm going to just select all red and hide it. Okay. We'll put it here, hide red. You could probably just select everything on a lot of things, go to manufacturing and hit Boolean or mesh repair, and they'll just make a mesh of everything. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't, but it's a real quick way to do it. But sometimes it doesn't work, so be aware of that. So here's how it's going to print. Next thing you need to do is go to your well, save it, right? You need to save it to put in your slicer for printing. You could do these in your slicer as well. You don't have to do them in the MatrixGold program. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It just really depends. Most of the time I just do it in my slicer. So from here, what we want to do is we want to export this model. First, we need to check it. Is it closed surface? Yes. Okay. So then we want to select everything. You don't have to, I don't think, but it's better you do. And then I want to export it. So I just put mine in a folder. Well, that's not the one I use. This PC. So I usually I have mine saved in it's not this PC, it's OneDrive, and then I have from OneDrive desktop, documents, and I have ready to print. So I already have it saved, but we'll just go ahead and do another one for sake of argument. So I'll give it a file name, bezel ring. Okay, and then right now it's going to save it in a 3D file. You can save it in the 3D file if you want to use it in another program or whatever. It's not a bad idea to go ahead and save them in 3D and then also come back and save them in a STL for printing. STL is what you want, and then hit save. Tolerance 0.01, yes, and then binary, yes. Okay, and now it's saved. All you have to do is bring that file up, add it into your slicer, go through the process. Each slicers are different, so whatever slicer you use, you'll put it in there and get it ready for the final printing. But that's pretty much it right there. If this video helped you, I hope give me a like, a subscribe, and maybe leave a comment and let me know what you think. But thank you for watching.